Namaste and welcome to SmJ.
Namaste.
Yeah, nice to see you here.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. And as usual, we will start with the introduction from Vidya ji, and we will take it forward.
Sure. Namaste, a very warm welcome and wonderful morning to all. We have a very special guest with us today who's joining us for the very first time on SmJ, Srimati Suzanne Bernert, a German-born
Namaste.
Indian star. Namaste. Suzanne ji, a very warm welcome to you. Suzanne ji, who hails from Detmold in Germany, grew up in the Westallgäu region of Bavaria. I hope I pronounced it correctly, Suzanne ji. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you so much. Her father, being a customs officer, Suzanne ji's childhood was spent in moving in and around Germany before her family settled finally near the border of Austria and Switzerland. With her mother being a theatre artist herself, Suzanne ji took to participating in school plays and ballet lessons and started her formal training when she turned 16. After her initial years of foraying into acting as a high schooler, Suzanne ji was trained in Berlin by Heidelot Dahl, the renowned German actress, for about 3 years.
Heidelot was my acting teacher.
Okay.
And ballet was just someone, I don't remember the name, that was in my childhood.
Okay. I stand correct. Subsequently, Suzanne ji went on to do an acting course under the guidance of the American producer cum acting coach Susan Batson, who was well known for mentoring the Academy Award winning actresses Nicole Kidman and Juliette Binoche. Suzanne ji went on to do her first Indian movie called Destined Hearts, where she did the film's lead role. Unfortunately for her at that point of time, it didn't come out for the longest time. Very recently, it has been published on YouTube. Despite the initial setback of her first film not being released then, it did not deter Suzanne ji from going ahead with her other projects that eventually made her a household name for the roles she portrayed, following a few of the shows, serials, and movies which brought her well-deserved recognition. Ajay Sinha's movie called Stop, that also starred the acclaimed actor Om Puri, the television show Astatwa, Ek Prem Kahani, that was also starring Nikki Aneja Walia and Varun Badola, TV serials Aisa Desh Hai Mera and Kasauti Zindagi Ke, movies like Reema Kakti's Honeymoon Travels Private Limited and Ram Dhanu, The Rainbow, Aparna Sen's Bengali film Iti Mrinalini alongside noted actress Konkona Sen Sharma, the popular TV series Chakravartin Ashoka Samrat, where Suzanne ji played Queen Helena. For this one role, she received widespread acclaim and award nominations, and rightly so, as Suzanne ji had gone through the rigorous process of filming right from enduring scorching Rajasthan sun to the continuous non-stop shoots both in Mumbai and Karjat, and taking on the challenge of delivering her lines in Sanskritized Hindi amidst sleepless nights. Suzanne ji's journey for this role as Queen Helena remains as an unforgettable chapter of her life. An important movie was The Accidental Prime Minister of 2019, as well as Yatra 2 2024, alongside the famous actor of South India Mammootty, where she literally lived the role of Srimati Sonia Gandhi to perfection, which gave her critical acclaim. 7 RCR, Projecting India's Future, was a politics-based documentary series that was telecast in 2014, in which Suzanne ji had first portrayed Sonia Gandhi ji. So she became officially the first actress worldwide to depict the prominent Indian politician on screen. Other than acting, Suzanne ji has taken up producing films like Majnu Ki Juliet, as well as co-managing a theatre group called Vijeta, along with her late husband Sri Akhil Mishra ji, who himself was a very well-known Indian actor. Together, they had brought out projects like the film Crumb in 2012 and the TV serial Mera Dil Diwana. Suzanne ji's achievements extend to being the first foreign actress to reach the semi-finals of the Marathi celebrity dance show Dholkichya Talavar, as well as appearing in over 24 Indian television shows. a natural linguist, Suzanne ji can fluently speak German, English, and Hindi, as well as quite a bit of French, Italian, and Spanish. Having acted in both Marathi and Bengali films, she understands both these languages too. Now currently based in Mumbai, Suzanne ji holds an overseas Citizenship of India card and continues to contribute to the Indian film industry while embracing Indian culture, often seen celebrating festivals like Diwali or Deepavali, as well as promoting Indian tourism through projects like the short film Padharo India. Despite being relatively lesser known in her own homeland, Germany, Suzanne ji is definitely a star in India who's here to stay. Suzanne ji, it is such a pleasure to have you here on this platform. Thank you so much for joining us. We are eagerly looking forward to chat with you. Thank you so much. Ravi, over to you.
Yes, today's session will be led by Vidya ji. Vidya ji will go ahead with the questions and all. I'll intervene if I have any, and we'll take it from there. We know the time constraints as well.
Yeah.
So we will
a little bit
to the time limit.
No, I spoke.
Suzanne.
No, I just spoke with the other organizer, and they had agreed to. I will only be picked up later. It's all good. We can just completely relax into this, because they wanted me, you guys wanted me, so they have to. We have to come to some band.
Perfect.
No worries. Yeah. Go ahead, Vidya ji.
Yeah, sure. So, from one of the most basic questions, Suzanne ji, your earliest memories of your childhood in Germany, your with respect to your parents, your siblings, your friends, your early education, do throw some light on that. Go ahead.
I think what's interesting with the mind is that you get told your childhood memories so many times by your parents that sometimes you can't distinguish what is a real memory or what is a told story. I know of people who can recall early memories. And with me, I really have an issue about understanding, is this a memory that I have, or is this something my parents have been telling me in all details? So one of on every birthday, my mom tells how I came into the world. She always tells me the whole story from when they went to the hospital and what she felt and how it was. And then Papa Sandy was there. He said he will go home, but suddenly he was there to be by her side, and very nice. So she has this one story about that after 2-3 days, after I came home, they packed me up, completely wrapped me, put me in a baby trolley, these prams. It's a pram, yeah. So they put me in the pram with a hot water bottle because I was born in September, and they took me around a nearby lake in autumn. Now, I don't know if this is my fantasy or real memory, because I have the feeling I have some memory of lying on my back, being pushed around and having some beautiful leaves around. And to this day, autumn is my favorite month. So I can't say if this is a real memory or it's just something that I cooked up kind of a thing. So some people, my mom can recall minutely things. She is very good at even having early childhood memories. I remember being happy. And they tell me that I always wanted to be an actor, that from the age of 4, apparently, I was saying I want to be an actor. And I couldn't really pronounce it. So in German, the word is Schauspieler. And for a child to say Schauspieler, so I was saying something else, Schauspieler. So very cutely, they to this day, they tell the story. So I think my childhood was a very happy one. I remember that we were near a forest because customs officers' houses are usually near the border, or such oriented. So I remember roaming around in the woods with my Barbie doll and playing and making up kahani. Yeah, I was always constantly either reading or making up stories in my mind and acting it out. So Then school time, school, I was not popular, to say the least. So from the moment I joined school to the moment I left school, I was pretty much, a little bit bullied. So to put it mildly, but I got very strong through that. And I'm telling this story. Usually I don't talk about this, but I'm telling this story to tell all the people who are having difficulties in a moment in their life when people are turning against them or they're being bullied, like I was in school. That's not the end of the world. You will get out of it and you will achieve what you want to do. And even though I had a lot of pushback, not from my parents, but from society, a lot of pushback against the acting, I still made it, just in a different country. So these are the stories. And then at the age of 16, I wanted to join acting classes. And most of the places where you go and study at the universities, they were telling me, you're very talented, but you're too young to be alone in a city. So it was more like that. That was an issue. And then later it happened with Heidelotte Deal. It's a very difficult name, I know. She is a renowned stage artist. She must be in her 70s now. So she took me as a private student. So the advantage was that I was not getting a stamp of another acting style. Here in India, you can make out when people come from NSD or from Whistling Woods. There's a certain style, a certain mannerism, because the teachers are giving their knowledge down, and we're all human beings, and everybody has their characteristic and traits, so it reflects in your acting. So I feel like in this point, I was lucky because she encouraged me to just come up with my own things, and I only had her as a teacher. So I wasn't influenced that much. So I think we reached up to that age, 19, 20, and then India happened.
Okay, so Suzanne ji, coming to India, that's the exact question I wanted to ask you. Why India and what drew you to India?
Okay, there was no plan. There was no plan. I literally had even no idea that India was so near to Dubai. I was in Dubai. I shot a movie there. You mentioned it already, Destined Hearts. What was a wonderful experience. It was a one-of-a-kind movie made by Anand Tuseja only for the purpose to bring everybody in Dubai together and make a movie made by people who live in Dubai, who work in Dubai, and he got a lot of support from big companies and a lot of also from the government side. But then when it comes to release, that's a little something different because 2004 Dubai hadn't had any release system. I don't know if they have a movie release system now. So he was like living there and thinking I should do something like that. And he actually auditioned me for the best friends part. And then he couldn't find a lead actress in the Indian community that he was looking for. So he said, I'm rewriting the script and making it into a German Indian love story set in Dubai. So that was great. And I got to meet so many people from the Indian diaspora there, and then people who came only for shooting and then back to India. That's how I met Ajith Sinha. You mentioned the other movie, Stop. And from there, he was very keen on getting me to. A lot of people told me, I think you should go to India. I think you should be in India. And I was like, really? Why? What? No, you are a theater artist. You have the looks for it. You have the style for it. You're good with languages and you have theater background. What is a big thing in India? Anybody who knows about the industry, if you have theater background, your level goes up. That's one of the truths here. So he invited me to stay with his family. And to this day, we are friends. And so I stayed in 2004. In 2004 end, he called me and said, there is this part of Catherine in Astitva. Do you want it? And I had been on the set in Bharat at that shoot, looking at everybody, completely envious. I have to tell you, I was like eaten up with envy. I was like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. How do I do this? So I think my wishing was so strong, yeah, that this role materialized. And then I was in front of the camera and I was working with the whole crew, and they were a little hesitant in the beginning because koi ferang aa rahe hai, wo pata nahi hai kaun hai aur kis tarike acting karne wali hai. So at my first scene with Alok, so that was interesting because I had to do Parachona, so touch the feet. And I was like, I was so nervous. I thought my heart would jump out of my chest and I didn't know how to do the movement in a graceful way. I didn't want to look clumsy and weird. I was wearing an orange kurta, what for a German who likes only black and gray and white was a shock to my system. Orange was not on my color scheme at all. So it was a surreal, wonderful experience. And then when they saw I can act, then they were fine. Then they were like, okay, she's sorted. She knows what she's doing. And then it was a pleasurable journey that also took us to England. Fun fact, in England was the first time when I got recognized for this part. I was in Southall with Aloknath's wife, and we were shopping for shoes, and I'm just looking at a size. I'm actually on the ground, and somebody is popping their head over the other side and saying, aren't you Catherine from Astitwa? And I was like, oh my God, it has to be in London that I get recognized. So it was fun. It was like, I have this inner yearning of acting. I want to be other people. I want to be in front of lights. the result of it, the TV shows or whatever, in the beginning I was keen on seeing myself on screen, and now it has become to a point where I just look at it to understand the style or to see if I made any goof ups or if I can rectify something. But in the end, it's like I love the acting, I love the experience, and I love it. Absolutely adore it if people come up and recognize me because they get happy. And where in the world can you make somebody happy by just popping up in front of their eyes in a restaurant, and they come and they're so excited? I'm so excited with them, not because I'm like great or something. It's just that I gave them this one picture and this one handshake and a little talking, and they go away and they're happy. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Just by being there, just by existing, you make somebody happy. So that's up to my beginning in India. And when I landed here, I was afraid. People were warning me, if you fly to India, oh my God, we need all these vaccinations and everything. And I was like, let's see. Yeah. So I landed at the airport and stepped out at that old airport. This was 2004. So I felt immediately at home. I can't tell you why. From somebody who never wanted to go to India, somebody who said, if I go to India, maybe my life will change. I was really actually not wanting to come here. And then Kismet, I ended up here, and I was like stepping out of the airport and inhaling and thinking, oh, this feels really good. I feel okay. Even though this was loud and chaos and dogs running around and honking, endless honking, and everybody talking in loud voices. And I'm a German. So you will not have that in my country. You will not have noise. You will not have anybody honk. And so it was very interesting for me to see that my Germanness was actually fitting into this Indian vibes.
Absolutely lovely. Ravi, you have any questions? Go ahead.
Not at this moment,
Okay.
but I do have one, but when it comes to that point.
Okay. So speaking about your experiences, Suzanne ji, of the acting, in your acting career, which has been, the most memorable? Like, we do know about Queen Helena, but we would like to hear it from you along with that. Which have been the roles which have left an impact on you?
I want to say that every role that I got was special, and every role that I did was special for me. I know that the two characters that you mentioned, Sonia Gandhi and Queen Helena, these were the two that gave me visibility, more of a visibility than was there before. But I have to say that every character I'm getting is this new adventure I get to go on, this new person I get to discover, this new set of people, the unit. What I love about, especially when you have a TV show that runs longer, the family you become for that time, the connections you make, the excitement that you have to go on the set every day, sit in front of the mirror and do it. So it takes me, like for Queen Helena, it takes about, in the beginning, the first trials were 1.5 hours. Later, it got down to 45 minutes because the team knew what they were like. It was just da, 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 da. And so I got this question one time, aren't you bored sitting there? I said, how can I be bored when my dream has come true? So these kinds of things. So I don't want to say that all the characters, even the people, the smaller things that I did with CID, where it's a 2-day character or 3-day character, or you work for a week or something. So much, for example, Ye Rishta Kya Khilata Hai, there's a character called Martha. I did that in 2016. To this day, that audience calls me Martha. So it's these things that resonate and that are wonderful. Then I did a short film with a friend who actually sold his flat to do this short film. What I didn't know at the time, I would have told him not to do it. But he did a short film about reincarnation. And so I was in this character that was reincarnated as a tortoise, and somehow she gets that lifespan is over. So the Atma comes out, and she's completely shocked because she was in the countryside hundreds of years ago. Now suddenly she's in a big city. So that was one stream of the story. And that was such a abstract thing for me when we started. He told me the story, he told me everything about it. And I was like, Miss समझ में नहीं आया तुम क्या कह रहे हो? So I was like, I'm not getting what you say. I'm not getting the gist of the story at all. And I acted my part with full conviction, even though I didn't understand. I completely relied on my director. He was guiding me, holding me by the hand, and I was just his instrument. And when I saw it on screen, it's on YouTube. When I saw it on screen, I was like, oh yeah, now I get it. Now I understand what you wanted to tell me, and you couldn't because sometimes the visual goes beyond your capacity to understand. So I love that as well when I don't know and that later it makes complete sense. No, it's interesting because literally every project I have done was different. Like there was one that also with where I was playing the best friend of the main character, and we were later I found out my character was supposed to be there for 2 weeks, and I was there shooting a whole year because the character got so popular that they just kept on extending the tracks. So it's the hardest. I mean, that I can say the hardest in the beginning was of course Kasoti because Balaji had taxing hours, very strict shooting, and a lot of waiting around. And my Hindi was bilkul zero at that time. So there are things that I didn't understand. I didn't know what's going on. I also had to rely on the director. So I had just started shooting, and I think you always have a new director on these shows. Not in Queen Helena's case or other cases, there are like 2 directors, but Balaji is rotating directors more on a regular basis. So this guy is coming, I'm sitting, they're putting up the cameras, and he said, do your thing. I'm like, what do you mean? So there was a term called do a Balaji. That means is the camera was doing this zoom, zigzag, going from all directions. So what you have to do as an actor is just hold still with one shocked expression for about, I don't know, 2 minutes. And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, you do have your thing. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm new. And he's like, oh, okay. And one director took me to the side. This just came to me. I don't know if it was Balaji. I think, yeah, it was Balaji. So in these shows, you have to do a lot of Rona Dona. Yeah, you're crying and you are being misunderstood and you run out of the room, fling yourself on the bed and cry. So I'm an actor, theater, I come, I cry. Like literal tears that don't show on my white skin. I don't know if you've seen American movies. Sometimes you see people crying, but you don't see the tears like you see here. Here on the skin tone, it looks so beautiful. You know, if somebody cries, you see the tears running. And with me, it's like, oh, gliss lagao. There is this little bottle of glycerin that makes your eyes burn so you can cry. And then it also can be put on your skin here so it looks like tears. Of course, it moves. But it is this one thing that, so I said, I don't want to do that. I feel my integrity as an artist goes down the drain. And the director said, no, you should use this glycerin because you will burn out. Your eyes will take a toll. You can't really do this. And so I started using it when it was necessary. And yes, then you also have to understand where you need to do what. In certain daily TV show, you go in fully, but you can't do this full on every day on every platform. So it becomes a routine as well. So you flip the character. You go on the set, you put your costume on, you become the character. But when you go home at 6, 7, or 10 p.m., you switch that off while taking off the outfit. I don't think people should stay in character. That's one of my pet peeves about the industry when people are glamorizing struggle as this art form. That when you suffer, then you are being artistic. When you suffer and you haven't slept for 3 days because you have to be acting sleep deprived. I do not believe in that, but I find it's very harmful for the person. To be a functional, good actor, you have to be healthy. You have to take care of your health, your skin, your fitness level, what you eat, get enough sleep. There's so many things you need to take care of. So these kinds of gimmicks, sorry to call it that, are being glamorized and glorified to a certain extent. And I have a huge issue with that. So that's one of my pet peeves about the industry, that this is one thing that they keep on propagating, or it sounds good in headlines. But it can be dangerous because if you don't sleep for 3 days and you go in front of the camera, how do you know what the other person is doing? How do you know where to sit in the lights? How do you stand and you cannot walk? How do you know your lines? Yeah, because if we have schedules. We have schedules where I slept only 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then back in front of the camera. It is taxing. It's hard. It's not what I want. I'd rather go and be fresh and can joke with the unit. You know, that's my thing. I usually go and start cracking jokes because, especially in the beginning, people were like, oh God, there's this foreigner coming and we don't know her and we don't know how to communicate with her. So I usually start by sidling over to the sound guy and taking a mic and chatting with him. Then the news spreads, she speaks Hindi. That was in the beginning, like 2010, 11, 12. Now, usually on every unit, somebody knows me. So I don't have to do that anymore, but I still crack jokes. I like it. I like the teamwork. There's a sound guy. I put my mic and there's a guy who's checking something. There's a light guy and I'm chatting with a cameraman. We're setting up the set. We're doing a Ganesh Puja in the beginning. I just love to go on any set in this country because it's special. I don't know why. I'm addicted to it.
Absolutely lovely. Ravi, go ahead.
Yeah, the role for the accidental prime minister, you were doing Srimati Sonia Gandhi. So it's not a usual role where you can bring your own persona, right? So you have to look and feel like Srimati Sonia Gandhi. So I would like to know, it is more of a method acting, understanding the person and mannerisms and things like that. What about the preparations for that? What did you do?
Yeah, that's a different thing. What I just told you, that is not about blasting method acting. I still believe in aspects of it. I don't believe in the suffering part. I think we can do a lot with our imagination. That's the biggest gift that we've been given as humans, and our mind. So for Sonia Gandhi, the first time I just looked at video clips. That was 2014, and I worked with Akhil, my late husband, on my voice. So she has a deeper pitch. She talks slower. She has certain emphasis on different, like her, when she has a sentence, she has a punch on a different part of that sentence than what I have in my life. And so for that, it was my own preparation. We shot, and that was like more fictionalized because we don't know how these situations really unfold. They showed the house life. They showed at home, sitting with the son and with the daughter. And so that was also flashbacks for younger Sonia Gandhi ji. And then later for accidental prime minister, they were very precise in telling me, look at only these videos because we're recreating these scenes. An online interview, like a conclave where she was interviewed, another interview. So I was mostly looking at interviews, and I was also looking if I can find anything where she speaks in her own language, Italian, because it's always very interesting to get the soul of a person when they speak in another language. You must be knowing that when you speak English, you sound different than when you speak in your own language. Yeah. So I have the feeling I was looking for that. I couldn't find anything because Italian is a little like, you have a da-da-da. It sounds like a song. So I was trying to find that to see the English, but couldn't find it. Then I was trying to find anything that shows her personality a little bit, and she's a very guarded person. I think we all know that you hardly get to see anything of her personality. Like, okay, she smiles and laughs sometimes, but that was not applicable in the movie. So I found one interview where she was like, she has this habit of checking the time on her watch like this. She looks down and the watch is about this level. And then she looks like this onto the watch to see. And sometimes she uses it also to signal, I want to leave. If she's in a conference or something, this is fine for her to go. And the other one, she has like, she's very upset this part of the face. This twitches a little bit. That's all. She has a lot of guardedness, especially for the scenes that I needed. I know we all seen her sitting like this in Parliament, but that was not in this movie. So it was 6 months of prep that I did, and we were supposed to start much earlier. I got the call to do this movie in 2017, and I was supposed to leave. I was in Germany with my parents and with Akhil. We were on holiday and around Christmas, and they were saying, probably you have to come back as soon as possible. And then it became Jan of the next year, then it became February. It all had to do with Anupam Kher's dates because he was shooting an American show at the same time. Some hospital drama. So there was all these issues about timing. So we started shooting a little bit, I think, in February 2018. And because it was supposed to come out in 2018, we wanted to start way earlier and couldn't. And then finally shooting happened, and then there's this magic of being on a set in a costume that also levels you up. The moment you're in front of the camera, it levels you up. We had also some workshops, and So that's how I prepared for it. And you want a little anecdote?
Sure, go ahead.
So I was in Delhi for shoot as well. We shot in England a lot and we shot in Delhi. And there is this really fun incident where I had to walk in, it was a big 5-star hotel. So I had to walk from my room and get up all the way down to where we were shooting in the banquet hall. And literally, and I had 2 bodyguards. So literally, from the moment I exited the room and walked down the corridors, people were just like this. There were so many who were probably thinking, we are in Delhi, bodyguards, she's walking. I'm betting there must have been people who thought I'm the real deal. Yeah. Then it was a very hard time with the junior artists when you catch them, when they were catching me in the toilet, that they wanted to take selfies now, and you can't do that before the movie releases. So everybody's like, selfie लीजिए. I said, no, pack up ke baad, abhi nahi de sakte. Now I can't give you. I'm so sorry. You know, you feel really bad. I don't say no. And people usually come, but in Get Up, I had to say no. So after that, I entered this banquet hall, and there were about 250, 300 junior artists sitting there and playing audience in this interview. And I entered, everybody was chatting, and in like pin drop silence, like literally I entered, they all stopped talking. There was this shock effect, you know, they're like turning around and I was thinking, where do I go? What do I do? Where's my director? Who is at the end of the hall? Chalo, chalo. So I was just walking to him and hiding behind the monitor. Yeah, so that was fun. And the other one was in England. The team was there mixed. We had Indian people there, and they hired some from UK as well. I think some for the camera, for the lighting and stuff. Of course, you can't take the equipment from here. And this was a fun thing because like this, I come, I go up, I shoot and Get Up, I go up, I come out like this. So there was one guy who said, listen, I see you coming in the morning and leaving in the evening. What are you doing in between? Because we were a small unit, no? I said, I'm acting in the movie. And other people started laughing already. They're like, Are yaar, she's in front of the camera. What? And they explained to him which character I'm doing. He couldn't recognize me. He was a British guy and he couldn't understand the whole transformation thing. So these are my 2 favorite anecdotes of it that I wanted to share.
Absolutely. I'll ask a follow-up question as well, Vidya, if it's okay. You are now in India, and India has many industries, movie industries, and you have very many gifted actors as well, or actresses. Maybe before coming to India, you may have been looking at Meryl Streep or Marlon Brando or Tom Hanks, and all range of Hollywood actors were there. And now we are in India, and you are blessed with a lot of actors from different industries, from the south, from the north. You have Amitabh Bachchan over there, you have Rajinikanth or Kamal Hassan, Mohanlal.
Yes.
A lot of
Rajinikanth. I can't tell you why, but I always had this fascination with this man.
So how you do watch movies and your experience with different actors over here, or as somebody observes it, may not be as acting with them, but how you see the industry here and the actors and acting and everything. That's my question.
Like if I have a favorite or something like this, or
different acting styles, an actor looking at acting and
Yeah, definitely there are different acting styles. I always say when somebody asks me why India, I said, where in the world can you travel to different countries in one country and still be in India? Like the first time I flew to Bengal in 2008 and I landed in Kolkata, I was like, okay, what happened? Because it's such a different vibe. The whole city has a different vibration. The older buildings, the older style, people dress a little different. You just see different sari styles and stuff. So I was like, wow. And then, of course, you don't understand. They don't understand you. It's fun, yeah. So, but Bengal has definitely some of these touches still from Satyajit Ray's times, if you ask me. It still has these melodies going through the streets, even though there's a lot of development, but the older part of the city is just utterly beautiful. Then Hyderabad, I fell in love when I was shooting for Yatra too. I find it also a very vibrant and interesting city. And I was just in Bangalore for the first time. So everywhere you go, it's so completely different. So when people say I want to travel to India to see India, I said which part? Because it's it's all a different world. Then if you do anything in Marathi, you will feel like you are with family because everybody brings their home cooked food. They sit together, they chat together, they exchange stuff. Like it's very I don't know. Yeah, acting styles are definitely different. I see a lot of different styles. But on the other hand, I think Indian movies are always more vibrant than anything you see from anywhere else around the country. Maybe South America is also more vibrant, but I would say Indian films are always a little louder and movies are a little louder, but still Indian, still full on Indian, even though you have a different language and you have a different style. But usually a unit is a unit. I feel like when it comes to camera and acting, uh, there is this discipline and there's wanting to do the best and everybody is pitching in together. And I see relentlessly, especially camera people, like relentlessly, these guys are schlepping the lights around from one location to the other. They're carrying these heavy lights and this heavy equipment and with a smile on their face. You chat with them, they're happy, they're also in love with this whole thing. I think there's something very addictive about it. Different styles, yeah, definitely. But also it depends on sets. Sometimes you go on a set and you feel immediately at home, and sometimes you come and you just have to bear it because it's a cold unit. Maybe not the people on the set, but the other actors. Sometimes you come and then they're just hiding in their vanity vans and they're just a little cold, a little. I think a lot of actors who have reached somewhere, they feel, especially younger, once they feel they have to protect themselves from somebody taking advantage or trying to push them away. So it's a cutthroat industry. That's definitely there. There's always somebody younger and prettier who can replace you. It happened with me. I got a call in 2010, where I was still playing the foreign bahu. And they asked me, we want somebody like you. We want your hair and your eye color and your Hindi and everything, but at the age of 20. So I was like, are you okay calling? Have you checked your medical status this morning? You going to an actor and saying that to them? Is this? Okay. So anyways, I said, no, I don't have anybody. There's nobody like this. And you can just take me or forget it. Then they found one actress and I played her mother in Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai. They found an actress. She had like dark hair and there's this fascination with blonde hair. So they dyed her hair blonde. And so she had an accent. I thought they took an Indian girl, dyed her hair blonde, and put her in front of the camera. But she was a Pakka foreigner. She was from France or UK or something. So it was very, very interesting and very stupid, actually. I don't understand this fascination with blonde and blue-eyed. Every foreigner has to be blonde and blue-eyed. I don't agree with that because if you travel around the world, you see not everybody's blonde and blue-eyed. It's real blondes are 3% of the population these days. Dying race. I hope I didn't mumble too much to answer this very diverse question. It's not easy to answer that so easily. I just say that it's wonderful to just fly for 45 minutes and be somewhere else and still in India.
Any favorites? Anything that fascinates you? Any actors, actresses that fascinates you from India?
Akhil, my late husband, was my favorite. I loved watching him. I loved how he was preparing for his roles, very different than I. And he was an underestimated talent. He didn't get the roles that he deserved. We thought when OTT came that he would get the roles that he should have. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I always told him he will be back in front of the camera, but then, yeah.
No worries. Vidya, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Suzanne ji, continuing with on a similar line, who would you consider as your gurus of cinema? That is, whether it's starting from your early acting days, the different acting styles that you have learned, and generally people who have given you guidance. I remember reading Alik Padamsi had also guided you to take up theater in India. So, who are the people?
He gave me the context, yeah. He gave me the context. I think everybody you meet on the way is like a pebble stone that leads you somewhere else, and you can learn something from everyone. Heidelotte, of course, my first acting teacher, she influenced me immensely because it was my first steps into acting, and you can get a little lost. So that person is there to help you, hold your hand, and guide you. So that's somebody who will always be my guru. Susan Batson was the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. I think that workshop was hell for me, literally hell. She has a completely different style and she breaks people apart. So I didn't know what she wanted from me. I chose a character and she said, you can prepare that. And then you're supposed to do private moments. That means you're so much lost in that character that you're portraying that you're doing something on stage that comes absolutely natural and is just this genuine thing that pops up. And we had big issues. I have no idea why this happened. Heidelotte always told me, you will figure this out one day. To this day, I have no clue what happened. I just know that one time she called me to her hotel, actually, to ask me, why do you want to be an actor? Because if it's for fame, you are not actor material. You can't be an actor. You are completely, this is not your field and you should just leave it. And literally 6 months later, I was on stage. So there's always somebody, she is a guru in a different way because she taught me just to go on, even if that person that is very highly regarded doesn't really believe in you and doesn't think you should be an actor. So guru is not only somebody who's positive. I think a guru can be also somebody who just breaks you and then you put yourself together and go on. But I worked with I worked with Shyam Benegal. And I spent my honeymoon sitting behind Shyam Benegal because Akhil was working with him. So they were shooting in Ramoji Rao in Hyderabad in the film city. And I sat behind him and you just observe. So I learned from Shyam Benegal. He was somebody who gave you 2-3 chances to do a scene. And when it was not coming out the way he wanted to, he just moved on. But he might never call you again for any role. That's one thing. Then there are people who are very, they can be like Mercury. They can be super sweet in the morning and then something happens to them and they have some issues or whatever and then they let it out on the actor. That's also possible. I had a few shouting matches with directors on sets. But that doesn't mean that later on you're not like making up and keep on working. So, and Akhil told me a very good line. There's nobody is forever an enemy and nobody is forever a friend in the industry. So you can't really make enemies because you don't know who you're going to come across in the future. Then I learned that some people can be super sweet while working with you and get you out of any PR, any publicity, or anything after the movie if they don't want you to be there. I learned that as well. So I think situations teach you, people you meet teach you, and it's not only one person, but I learned a lot from Akhil because we were living together. It's just like naturally, when you are with somebody who has this much experience, is older to you, you are picking things up. Especially how to be on an Indian set, how to behave, how to be nice to people, there's a certain art form when you go on a set. So yeah, you have to make an entry, but at the same time be approachable. So I learned a lot of things from him. He was the biggest influence after Haida, I think.
Okay. Suzanne, continuing with this in the cinema line itself, everybody knows about Bollywood. So what we have been noticing is, the Bollywood's attitude towards especially those actors, actors or directors who create movies that showcase Indian culture in good light. What is your take on that attitude that Bollywood shows these people?
Do you mean they have a negative attitude? Do you mean the Twitter fights or something like this? Because I am not in such a space. I know there are actors who always want to fight with each other online.
Generally, we see like how Bollywood tends to favor, people. Like if you are going to be dissing Indian culture or speaking lowly of Indian culture, those sort of actors generally tend to get a greater priority. So
yeah, but then the movie fails at the box office. Because I don't think the Indian audience is ready to take any bashing anymore, especially on the Pandit and Brahmin level. You know how many jokes were made years ago, and how many people were like, even Akhil was acting with these things, and then suddenly we all woke up around 2000, and he started refusing all these roles because he understood this is not just comedy; there is a hidden agenda behind it. So that's the thing that I found very eye-opening. I think COVID has opened eyes for a lot of people because we had time to be online, we had time to watch YouTube videos. Suddenly you were hearing different stories about the culture, the history of Bharat. And you were like, oh, aisa hai. And then when a certain movie comes out with a certain slapstick comedy that was maybe okay in the 60s, he said, I don't do this anymore. I'm sorry, I don't want to do these kinds of movies anymore. And then the phone stops ringing, basically, if you are on a certain level. So it's it's sad to see because we're all from this one country, and shouldn't we just stick together and make movies, and make the movies the way they should be, and don't change the color, gender, race of a character just because you want to feed a certain agenda. You can't take a real life person and change his name and his from which place he is in Bharat. I don't agree with these things. And also, it's a small circle, and there's a lot of nepotism going on, of course. My career has been just made by this country, not necessarily by an industry. There were certain requirements for an actor for certain roles, and then I got them. Or certain people were just like really happy to have me. Like Makran Deshpande actually made a character for me. And Nagesh Bhosle in his movie, my first Marathi movie, he made a character for me. So this can also happen. So I think it's a mix of people. It's just you see this one group of people working in a certain way, and I just don't. But it's not only here. It's in Germany, it's in America, it's in other countries. Look at what Walt Disney Studios is doing. They're race swapping. They're taking Snow White and making her into another in another race. And Snow White is the whole story is Snow White is who doesn't know it's a fairy tale for children. And you grow up with these famous lines. She was called Snow White because her father said she's as white as snow and her lips are red as blood. Now the girl who's playing it now can't say that. So they changed it to she's called Snow White because she was born in winter. So you're taking actual footage about these are Grimm's fairy tales. I grew up with these fairy tales and change it into something else. Why are you changing it? For equality? No, please don't. If a person has written this in 1800 and something, why do you think that in 2025 you need to change it? Just leave it the way it is because it has an idea behind it. The person who wrote it had an idea behind it. It is definitely not white supremacy in 1800. I'm sorry. I don't see this happening. If there's any historian here and said there was, of course, there was a certain kind of racism at that time as well. But if you come up with a story where you say she was white as snow and her lips were as red as blood, there is a certain poetry and beauty about it, except saying, oh, she was born in winter. It just doesn't gel, and they're facing a lot of backlash, and they keep on doing it. Just now, there's a animation thing. They do animation to real life, so an animated project is being made into real life, Snow White, and now another one is Train the Dragon. So they took Astrid characters, who's a Viking, and she's blonde and blue-eyed, and changed it to somebody who is dark-skinned with curly hair, and say she's a Viking. That's just not hello. No, it's like saying I'm from Tamil or something like this. The way I look. I can't have a character. I would love to play a policewoman here or somebody from the army, but because of my look, it doesn't really work. Yeah, I don't think I can do that. So I have a big issue with that. So between nepotism and this kind of like still trying to make movies from 1980s, I think people need to wake up to the fact that you need to do better, different movies, and just making some army movies with a loud patriotism is also not the way. Can't you just find some middle way? Do you know it's like everything is boom and bang and blowing up? That's still the 1980s. I find it difficult to digest because there's such beautiful movies here. Sanya Malhotra, she has done two beautiful movies. Paglet is one, Paglet? And the other one is this Maheshwari, with this long distance relationship between husband and wife. I adore these movies. They're intrinsically Indian. They're utterly beautiful. They're genuine and highly entertaining. So these movies, that should be more in the market. But the first question when you have a script is, do you have a star? That happened to us. So when you have a script, you have an idea, you want to do something, you are a director. Akil had directed 1.5 movies, one released, one couldn't. And one was with Shami Kapoor and he couldn't finish that. So the first question is, do you have a star? And if you don't have a star, then yeah, it gets difficult. But then you see other movies coming out, and then there is the child of the star in it. But it should be about actors. It should be about talent. It shouldn't be about your bloodline.
Absolutely right. That way you would have loved Lapata Ladies also, Suzanne, if you have seen
I
it.
will watch it. Everybody tells me to watch it. I had a certain idea why I wouldn't want to watch it, but I will watch it now.
It's absolutely brilliant. It's completely Indian and it leaves you with such a positive feeling. So that's one movie you should watch. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
sounds good.
going on, Suzanne ji, you remember we were talking about your video that went viral. Where you had to put forward a specific comment, and can you elaborate a bit on that, and what did you face because of that particular video going viral?
Yeah, it was actually it was very harmless. It was just about that spirituality and yoga is coming from here, from this side of the world, from Asia. And I really don't understand why, if you are interested in this way of life, then come here and learn it from here. Don't come up with something you cook up yourself. So the whole discussion was about spirituality in the West. And I feel like it shouldn't be materialized like that. I don't say don't have an income, but don't make it into this gimmick. Don't make a beer yoke, or don't make they make it into this fitness exercise. They make it into this wearing like very tight clothes was the opposite what you should do because of the whole system of yoga. Yoga means unity. I don't think the people who teach that there in a certain way know that. I think it has become this like an aerobic
Yeah, even
exercise of
heard
running on the treadmill.
goat yoga.
Which yoga?
Goat yoga.
ये क्या है? Image में क्या कर?
Like that's
Goat
what I
yoga.
mean. Yeah,
Beer
there's something
yoga.
called goat yoga.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so I feel like it's sometimes very gimmicky and it's also being portrayed. A movie is very gimmicky. If a yoga teacher comes in America and I just remember the show. I saw a TV show, and then there's this girl coming and she's really quirky and weird and she's like the spiritual thing. So she's constantly doing something like putting incense sticks around her and waving up and down. Or she comes, Namaste. I'm like, oh, please, yaar, please have some. Okay, I kicked Vidya off the chair laughing. No, I just have a huge problem with stereotyping and using it in such a way to get a comic effect in something zabardasti. I really have an issue with that. And they always say namaste at the end when they're leaving. I'm like, okay. So I had a huge discussion about it. You can say namaste most of the times, but here people say bye. Usually. So that video went to, I don't know, 1.9 million right now? Yeah, views. So I didn't expect that. That's how we got in touch, no? You saw that. So it went up and it has like 1,400 comments because I started commenting back. I like to chat with audience. I want to know why you're writing this. So I have like this habit of interacting. And there were some people who were like, they completely reacted in the wrong way. They misunderstood me completely, and that happens a lot as well. They hear something or they think they understand what I said, and then they're writing something what is not the truth, and then I call them out, and then they go back because it didn't. Oh, I misunderstood you. I'm like, हाँ, बिल्कुल. So it's a lot of praise or a lot of like we love that you said yoga. I said, yeah, okay. I had a husband who was from UP Kabaya. His Hindi was immaculate, and he was always after me to pronounce things the way it's written. Because if you look at it, it doesn't have an R in the end. So that's about it. So these are small things. Some people just also want to fight only. Sadhguru said it right when he said a troll is somebody who's sad, who wants you to be sad. So, but it did the trick. It gave me more visibility. I'm chatting with you guys because of that viral video. So I'm actually grateful.
Nice, Suzanne ji. Ravi, you've got anything to ask? Okay. So speaking about, you had mentioned about spirituality. You were saying that you are at the crossroads of spirituality. And what was the factor, or who was the factor, or any incident that led you to?
I think you're referring to this moment in 2020. I mean, I was always trying to figure out how to deal with my anxiety and with certain issues that I have with my life, especially I think after the bullying. in my school. So I went to a therapist in my 20s, and that helps to some extent. Then I did a reincarnation therapy with astrology mixed that helped a lot. Yeah. If you believe in reincarnation or not, this helped me a lot because certain physical manifestations that I had in my body, like I always had like a feeling something is pressing me here, and no amount of checkup was doing something. After that one session, it was gone. I did one session, I came out, this was gone because it was a memory, it was something manifested. I don't know. I feel like it's like you try to talk to yourself, to your soul. You believe in past lives or not, doesn't matter. This worked. But it works to a certain extent. Then I always wanted to find out how to handle myself better, in a better way, to go smoother through life, because I used to flip out at small things and I didn't like that about myself, but I didn't know how to fix it. So in 2020, my uncle passed away after a long fight with cancer. And we were there when he left. I held his hand. And about 2, 3 days later, I used to wake up in the middle of night with panic attacks, with like covered in sweat, completely drenched in sweat. And I didn't know what to do, where to go. Uncle tried to calm me down. And I was listening to a Sadhguru video. And then I started on Isha Kriya. And the magic of that was that you do the Kriya. I used to do the Kriya 3 o'clock in the morning, and it calmed me so much down that I slept through until 7, 8 then. So I was doing it at that time very, very regularly, and I did it for 3 years completely regularly. And I started the inner engineering course in 2020 as well because lockdown. So what are we going to do? Let's do something like that. So a lot of these, what I love about it is I don't need anybody for it. I don't need to go to a therapist. I don't need to go to a course. I don't need to do anything else. I just go on YouTube, put that on, or download the app and just listen. And that's it. So I've done the whole other, the Shambhavi as well. I keep on coming back to Isha Kriya. I just find it the most effective for me and the most calming, sorting out. And also when I'm conducting interviews now, I feel like I'm more alert. I don't get like sidetracked. This has so many benefits, and it's up to you to do it. So you don't have to go somewhere. You don't need a certain environment. You don't need anybody to shut up or whatever. Yeah, you just put the headset on and you do it for yourself. So that was definitely a crossroad in the way of realizing a lot of yoga techniques, when taught the right way, given to you in the right spirit at the right time, can be super beneficial to you.
Perfect. Ravi, any question? Or I'll go ahead. Okay. Now, Suzanne ji, you have been in India for 20 years and you have seen governments come and go. So at the time when you came into India, the regime that was, in power at that point of time and the current regime, what are the differences that you see, and what are the pros and cons of both the regimes?
I think a lot of people
10
have
years of
talked
both.
about this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
10 years
seen.
of both.
Yeah, I've seen 10 years of both actually. Yeah, until 2014.
Yeah.
Specifically in my field, I wouldn't have been able to play Sonia Gandhi ji before 2014 because I was approached a couple of times. And if you just look at the story, just put everything aside, just look at foreign girl coming from outside, falling in love with that person in that family, not speaking English properly, not speaking Hindi, of course, not understanding what's going on, having to learn the language, having to learn the culture, and then coming to this point of being Congress Party president. Yeah. I mean, that's a blockbuster. And I've been approached many, many times to play her before. And only in 2014 it materialized in this ABP news piece about showing the candidates and the backgrounds and everything. They've done it on all three candidates, no? On Kejriwal, on Modi, and on Gandhi. So it was, that is one big thing. Then I think Modi ji is very capable of adapting new technologies. He sees opportunities, he sees chances to do things, and taking risks as well, like the money, the black money, yeah, changing the currency and these kinds of things. It takes risks. And I think a lot of them have paid off. And before there was a system that was set in its ways, doing what they were doing on a daily basis, but not visionary in that way. So maybe it just took somebody like Modi ji to come and have these visions and take the country to that kind of like Bajbaji. But at that time, I think now what you can pick up now, I was just at a conclave again, and the way India is adapting to AI, the way it's like I was just at the NXT conclave, and there was somebody talking about AI and its adaptation, and if people are scared of it, they did a research. So there was this one group in Europe, in the West, they're very scared of it, and India and the East, they're all saying, let's take it in because they have the experience with it already. They have an Aadhaar card. Yesterday, I shot a video on my channel about how much I love Digi Yatra. Because basically everybody has our biometrics in our face already. What do you think will happen more? It can't happen more because it's already all your information about yourself is out there already for sale. So what else will happen? So if they have my facial recognition anyways, and I can breeze through the airport, I need my phone and my face to enter an airport, to take a flight. Yeah? It's like I live science fiction. There's nothing like that in Germany. Yeah? I go to the first gate, my face is being seen, I go through it, I go to the boarding, I show my phone, Digi Yatra, they give me my boarding pass if I even want one. Yeah. Yesterday I lost it at the airport. Just in like 5 seconds it was gone. It was nowhere to be found. And they said, you don't need it. Then I go to security check. Security check opens because they see my face. Then the checkup goes through. And then I was like, oh, Starbucks is shut and I'm thirsty. And what do I do? Oh, there's a machine. How do I pay it? With UPI. Again, my phone. And that is a life. If you want to eat something, you call Blinkit. Yeah. It's the world that my parents have to still physically go to a supermarket to be able to pick up stuff. They can order from a restaurant, but they can't get their supermarket saman delivered home. What I find really bad for elderly people because mom is 72, papa is 80. So the ease of life that this country is having in many, many respects. Yeah, I know there's thousands of things to be done, but give it some time. Yeah. If you look in 10 years, what all we have achieved, how many laws have been kicked out, how many things have been changed. I know there's so many things that still need to be done, that still are pending on the agenda. But how much can you ask for one person and his government to do in such a short time? I think just passport. Yeah. Akhil went to get his passport done. We did passport pictures that are not needed anymore because picture is taken there on a specialized camera that directly transfers the picture into that area. And his passport came in less than 10 days home. The struggle we had with the first passport, where you have to go to this place and to that place and give these papers and that paper and I don't know what all. Yeah, it's a headache. And nowadays it's so much easier. Same goes for, we had an FRO, foreign resident paper, and the OCI card is an overseas citizen of India. There were two. He made one out of it because it's the same thing. But there were two. So very, very confusing it was for me in the beginning. So I feel a lot of things have changed for the better. A lot of things are still pending, but I see this country going way ahead of others. It will overtake Germany minimum by 2030, somebody said. I don't know the numbers. I'm not a number person. But I feel like Viksit Bharat is Hamara Bhavishya.
Lovely to hear that, Suzanne. So heartening to hear that. Ravi, you've got anything to ask? Can go ahead. Okay, so now you've been in India. You definitely know Maria Vert. So that way, have you come across more people who have taken up India to be their homeland? Like, they have, especially those who are from Europe. Have you interacted?
I know a lot. I got to know a lot on social media, actually, what is an interesting thing. A lot of people I haven't even met. There is Simone, who has been living here for, I don't know how many years, I think 10 years plus. She's married to a Marathi guy, and she's just working on getting her last name changed. Everything is online these days. That has to be physical. That she actually has to go and show the marriage certificate and all these things. So that is one girl. Then there is a very great ice cream parlor in Goa that's also run by Claudia and Rocky. So they are there. And I know a lot of people, and there's a girl I'm not in touch with her. She lives in Jaipur, and she's also married to an Indian guy. And a lot of people are here. Just the other day, I met a professor. She's a doctor, Elizabeth Schmidt. She's from inner architecture of castles at Jindal University. She's been living here for 10 years. I never heard of her. So I met her at this conclave. What is really amazing when you can meet people like that there. And now it's great. We're going to meet up soon and talk about the love for castles in Germany and in India. So she's into this whole preservation and recording and the whole history of it. It's super interesting. So I feel like we're getting more and more mixed. And just now I was downstairs for breakfast, and there was a guy he's from France, lived in UK. The two daughters married all over the place. So the children speak automatically 2 languages, and they come for every holiday to Mumbai because his wife is from here. So this is a lot of mixed match people, like a family friend. She's planning her wedding, the daughter's wedding. And so they're going to do it probably in Jaipur or in Jodhpur. And the family has to come from America, from Australia, from Europe. So there's a whole lot of mixed match going on, especially inside families. Like I've been married to Akhil for a long time, and then so I was also like a real life foreign bahu. And I think that becomes more and more. The more we travel, the more we go out of a country, the more we are probably bringing somebody from somewhere else back.
I have an experience like, when you were talking about Jaipur. I was in Jaipur probably 5 years back, and me and my parents were there. We went to a restaurant, and I came outside quickly, and I was standing, for the driver and everybody to come back. And I saw one foreigner. I don't know where he is from. Completely, like he is dressed like a Brahmin with the Jenu. He has the white clothes, the traditional way of thing, everything. And he was walking through the road, looking at the phone and trying to go somewhere. I was literally, it took me a few seconds to actually recognize it. And I said, no, hello, namaste, and all that. And he said, namaste. And, he was going on his way. And later I started noticing that, in the spiritual path of things, there are many foreigners are there, especially even in Kumbh Mela. I was seeing that a lot of people are there who are taken up, and
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. A lot of people, if you go to, I was just sitting through Mahashivratri, Sadhguru's Mahashivratri. And if you pan over the audience, you see every color, every race, every age. Literally, you just go over the audience, you have everybody there. And a lot of appeal to people who come from outside, I think, is this Hare Rama, Hare Krishna thing. A lot of are very attracted to Krishna. That side of the. I don't think a lot of people. I don't know in which direction. I don't think so anybody would be interested in Jainism or going in that direction. I think that would be very tough for them. But yeah, a lot of foreigners are coming here, and not all of them are hippies or it's not that concept anymore. 20 years ago, there was still this kind of a mindset that every foreigner who comes here is like either rich and stays in these very expensive hotels, or is just like roaming around like that. Do you know that they used to pick up or still pick up people from Kolaba, trying to push them as a junior artist into movies or TV shows?
Wow.
That's a thing. That's a thing that they go down to Kolaba and trying to convince foreigners. So I did an ad that I was paid for, and the family that they brought, they didn't get anything. They got the experience. So that's the whole gist, the way they're doing it, And they like I shot a show, and they got people really from Kolaba all the way down outside Gujarat ki tarah. Like we were shooting on the outskirts in the middle of nowhere, basically the big studios. The moment you drive out of Mumbai, there are a lot of big studios that are happening on that highway. So these guys were 50, 60, 70 kilometers one way just to stand in the background somewhere and then go back. And I was like, one time I was talking to one of those guys, and I said, what are you doing? You were sitting on the floor with a cup of tea because there was nowhere to sit. And I said, so where are you from? Oh, I'm from America. And then, so what are you doing there? I'm a lawyer. I said, you want to tell me that as a lawyer, you're sitting here on the floor with a cup of tea? Yeah, it's an experience. So for them, it's an experience, and I would call it exploitation, but okay. Where's the button? Vidya, I can't find the button.
Yeah. I am so sorry. I had just
No.
yeah, yeah. So Suzanne,
No problem.
yeah, you have been here, and this is something, it's nothing connected to the movies, but something very vital: food.
Yeah.
The kind of multi cuisines that you find here in India, you're used to the German food. So,
Mm.
comparing food in both the countries, what is your favorite, which, cuisine have you fallen in love with?
I was actually confused when I came here because I thought I can handle spice. I lived in South Korea for a while and Seoul, and they have kimchi, and kimchi I could eat. And then I was in Thailand on holiday, and I could eat that spice. But there's something about the mirchi here, or this garam masala, I don't know, that I can't handle. I literally can't handle. I mean, I like the taste. My tummy is upset. It's like abhi tak पेट तो German hai. It's not really liking the spicy food. I was in Hyderabad for shooting for Yatra. And they made this beautiful spread. Everything looked gorgeous. Everything smelled amazing, and everything was spicy. I was so disappointed because I saw the food and I wanted to eat it, but literally every bite I was taking was like, and that's a trend because I don't think when I came in 2004 and 5 that I had such issues with the food that I have sometimes now. I feel like now everything has to be spicy. The pizza has to be spicy. The spaghetti have to be spicy. Spaghetti mein mirchi kyun laga rahe ho log? Yeah, you don't need everything just because you get addicted to the kick of the spice. Doesn't mean that every food is bland or boring if you don't have the spice. So I think there's a whole thing about if it is not spicy, then it's not eatable. So that was an issue, and sometimes on sets they put soda in the rice to get the people more full in a shorter time to save money. So since I'm a little bit more comfortable economically, I tend to like order from outside. Because you can't really afford the dog. I mean, that's also expensive if you have to call the doctor all the time or have to go to the doctor all the time because your tummy is upset. And the shooting conditions are anyways hard. So you at least need to nourish the body with more food because good food. Because, for example, shooting in Kharjat, you are outside, you're shooting. I was shooting in a tent in May with lights and about 30 degrees outside plus humidity. I was wearing a half wig with a crown and the whole gown. Yeah. So I'm having this scene with my co-actor who gives his lines, and it was my back. And I knew my lines. They turn the camera, I say the first sentence, and the next thing I know, I wake up in the makeup room. I fainted. I was just like out. So on top of the harsh shooting conditions that you have here, then at least you need to look out that you eat the right stuff because it's crazy. It's really I don't know how people can gain weight on a set. It's beyond me. Even if you're foodie, it's the body takes a lot. It takes a toll on you. Like the shoot I did with Ashok, I don't know if I could do it today. It's been nearly 10 years. Yeah, it is 10 years. So what I did then, I don't know if I can do it now. So food, I love like Sattvic food is fine. I love like when I found this amazing restaurant in a cafe in Delhi called Karnatic, I think. It's all like really great South Indian food. I mean, like dosa, idli, that's always my lifeline. Or an omelette. I'm always like sticking to these things. And don't ever, if you're ever on a set and somebody offers you tea after 5 p.m., don't take it. It's an acidity boiler. You will just go. That's not a good idea. So it's a mix. I bring some stuff from Germany, or you get stuff here, but I'm mostly vegetarian with some chicken thrown in once in a while. So I tend to, or fish. So I can't eat any of the other meats anymore. What is a big disappointment to my mom and my dad, and we had like these huge discussions about it. I'm gonna do this, and then what do I do because I can't eat it? I will fall sick. So I have an issue in both the countries now because if my mom cooks the traditional German way, I also can't eat it because it's too heavy. You get used to a lighter food, no? And they live in a different climate, so they're used to that kind of food. So, for me, I like to cook my own khichdi. I'm pretty good in cooking khichdi. I love Loki, and I have a way of making it taste nice, believe it or not. Recipe on my channel. And I have fondness for chilla. What is it, like a pancake from UP? It's a small, like round pancake from besan, about this size. And that with a nice cup of tea and some ketchup. That's I like. I have a lot of different cuisines, but khichdi is like um, my go-to food. It's my if I don't feel well and I have it, I feel good after that. Comfort food, that's the word I was looking for. It's my comfort food.
Yeah, comfort food. Nice. So, Zaniji, so as a message that you would like to give to your listeners, to your followers, people who interact with you, is there any specific message that you would like to give them?
Uh, I always have issue with these kinds of like say something in the end that's like a blessing. I was just like stay blessed, stay healthy, take care of yourself.
Very true, very true. And what about if you can speak about a few upcoming projects of yours, like which you're
Nothing.
okay to speak about?
Nothing. At the moment, I'm constantly on podcasts or at conclaves. So my whole life is changing. I think I'm more at a crossword where my career is going because the offers I'm getting are not something I want to pick up, or they don't have a budget and I can't work for free. I'm sorry. And some things, like, it usually comes out of nowhere. So even if I want to say something, I don't know where I will be at the end of the year. I might have a shoot, I might not have a shoot, but right now I'm concentrating on chatting with people from all over India, like you, and enjoying that. And otherwise, when I'm in Delhi, I'm constantly in like meetings or interesting. My partner is in all these amazing things. So I was at Synapse in Gurgaon. It was all about AI. Then there was this next event, NXT, that was also very interesting just now for Prime Minister was there today. Today? No, yesterday, to open it. It was supposed to be Friday, but there were people from all around the world talking about all kinds of stuff. It's all available online. So from AI to governance to the war, the elections, it's a lot of things all over the place, and it was very, very interesting and stimulating. And they were not overstepping more than half an hour. So even a panel discussion, they were just like for 20 minutes. So it was like different topics. People from all over the world. Tony Abbott was there. The former Prime Minister of Australia was there. The former Prime Minister of, where was he from? Hungary. He was there. He was talking about things. So how India is fitting into all of this. So I feel very excited because I feel like India is like really teaming up to get all these people from all over the world in many sessions, many interactions. And this was News X. And then on TV9 last year, there was a German summit. They took this channel from India to Germany in Stuttgart, near my city where I live, to make this big summit where they were taking people from here, from Tata and Maruti, and from their Porsche and Mercedes, and it was in a football arena. And all these 200 people could exchange their ideas and their views, and economically, especially economically, Germany tries to orientate itself towards India instead of China. There's a big interest also to get skilled workers from Germany to India, and from India to Germany, because we have like a little labor situation in Germany. We don't have enough skilled people to fill out all the spots that we need. We have an aging population. The average age in India is 24. The average age in Germany is 47. So you see more older people on the roads. So there's a whole issue about, especially in healthcare, not having enough people and stuff like plumbing or electricians. So the only issue I see is language. And I spoke with Michael Prabhakar, who sits in America, and I said, this is the issue. He said it won't be an issue much longer because we will have simultaneously translation, like he's with AI. So he said there will be a machine that hangs around your neck and directly translates one-on-one what the other person is saying and wants to convey. So I feel like very hopeful for the future, especially for this country, and I don't want to be anywhere else in the world.
Oh, so lovely to hear that, Suzanne ji. And with the last one final question, we'll wrap up because we have to keep your time in mind.
It's fine. If you're good.
Yeah. So being in India for the last so many years, from the time you came and from how you are now, what are the changes you see in yourself, both pluses and minuses?
complete change. I'm not the same person who came here. My mom said this actually. She said, you're more calmer, you're more accepting, you're very, very loving. And before Akhil died, I was a very, very happy person. And now that it's coming back as well. And it's a blessing. So I'm just like, I chat with everybody as well. Yesterday I had this amazing time. If you sit next to me anywhere, talk to me. I say yes and I will talk back. So I was sitting with this girl and we were chatting, and then it's great. It's great. You meet amazing people. So it's I'm a very interactive, positive, open person. And when I came, I was also a lot of happiness, but also a lot of, I think I had a persecution complex. That means that when people were saying something, I felt like they're saying something against me, even though it does not have anything to do with me, or it's situational, or they have some issues at that moment. And I understood that not everything revolves around me. Like not everything has anything to do with me, what goes around me. And when you understand that you're not the center of the world, but everybody else is also rotating around themselves in their own lives, I think it gives a lot of freedom. And the biggest jump I made in personality, I think, is since lockdown and Sadhguru and my Kriyas. So, but I don't see, once again, I don't say that people need to do that. You will find your guru or he finds you, because I was scrolling on YouTube with this panic attack and it came to me. So it's not a must. You can go. There are so many great people. Like Sri is very adoring and loving and cute. I'm sorry, it's a guru, but he's cute. When I need a laugh or something, or I need some like beautiful vibes, then I look at him. I listen to him. And then there's Sri M, who is very deep, and he talks about the Puranas, and my brain goes cross after 20 minutes. And I'm like, sorry, ho gaya mera. So I think you can find these things, because the one thing that all the gurus have done, and I applaud that, they're all online. They have given an accessibility. You like, I think 50, 60 or 80 years ago, you would have to trek to the mountains. You had to go somewhere. You would have to go somewhere. Now you put a finger on your phone and you can listen to them. So I think that is amazing. And I think that is very special, and we should appreciate it as well. That we have this kind of, our talk wouldn't have been possible without technology. So these things are a blessing, and just look at the world a little soft and gentle, and then it will be wonderful.
Right. And one last bit, Suzanne ji, which I deliberately left out of the introduction, was about the present person. I mean, your the anchor in your life now. You know, you had mentioned to me about how Akhilji, unfortunately, he passed on, but you have another person. I did not speak about him. If you can just
Yeah,
a few seconds.
he's a private. He's a very private person. He's the opposite what my job requires. And when he came into my life, he had to understand there will be something that is now open. Like we have this kind of an agreement that I can have a couple of articles per year where he's included. And his what I had with Akhil was a lot of communication, and I was thinking, where will I find somebody where I can talk to, like I was talking to him? And universe was kind enough to send Arjun into my life. So he's the person that I can talk to about anything, anytime. And that grew into more than just a friendship. It became love. And it's a wonderful blessing to be able to love again. And it's difficult because you're scared when you're falling in love again, and you know what the loss feels like. You step a little carefully in that direction. And but he, like Akhil, came as a force in my life, and this man came. Arjun is the same. He's like a force in my life. So one thing I learned in India: don't fight those forces. Just go with the flow. So he's a wonderful human being, very intelligent, lots of humor. I don't know if people even get that. Immense amount of knowledge that you wouldn't believe it. Like we were sitting at the table just the other day, and we met this Australian woman for the first time, and turns out she was married to a judge. And he said, yeah, you know, in 2000, I read an article about the paper about this judge in that context. I'm like, Australia? Literally? Or I pick him up at the airport and we're driving by, and he said, isn't this where Weizsäcker was born? He was a president of Germany at one point. I'm like, I wouldn't even know. So the amount of knowledge he has on aircrafts, geopolitics, people, countries, geology, I was like, okay, like sometimes I can't believe it. So Penny was asking, what's going on? Who is this man? I said, welcome to Arjun's world. Literally, he's very, 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 very knowledgeable and very, very, mine now.
That's good. Suzanne is so happy to hear, and we are so grateful to you for all the insights that you have given. It's been, a great time chatting with you, So, and what do you feel about today's talk?
Amazing, amazing. I just feel like I'm losing my voice now.
Oh,
If you talk a
okay,
lot for a
okay.
long time, it's like AC, no? So I just landed in Noida yesterday morning. When I took off, it was like when I left the house, it was 17 degrees and it was raining. And here it's 34. So you might be seeing that I'm constantly like doing something with my eyes because they're burning a little bit. It's just that if you haven't had AC for a while and then suddenly you have to be in AC because it is so hot outside, then your body is like, what's going on here? So
Okay.
It's been wonderful talking to you,
Yeah.
especially more listening to you.
Yeah.
yeah, you were not really talking a lot, Ravishankar. When we had our WhatsApp chat, you were talking a little bit more. But I can always come back, and then we can have more like an interaction on a topic where we put a topic on the table that's not me, and then we can all talk about it. And if that's something that interests your audience, please leave it in the comment section.
Sure, definitely, Suzanne.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to subscribe and like and share, and please do your thing as audience.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful. Wonderful. You were wonderful host. You were very, very professional. Yeah. And very, very precise with your questions. And I loved all of our experience. I'm very happy I said yes.
Absolutely. Likewise. The pleasure is ours. Thank you so much. Suzanne.
Okay.
All the very best for
Bye.
you.
All
Bye.
the very best for all your forthcoming projects.
Same for your channel. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Namaste.